Hey, 49ers faithful. We're back with an exclusive video bringing you the latest updates on our beloved San Francisco 49ers. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit that like button. This way, you'll never miss any breaking news or exciting updates about the Niners. The rumor that had been echoing around the league for months finally turned into reality, and now the NFL landscape has shifted dramatically. MICAH Parsons, the defensive superstar who became the heart and soul of the Dallas Cowboys defense, is officially on his way to the San Francisco 49ers in a blockbuster trade that has everyone talking. The confirmation dropped like a bomb across social media platforms, with fans, insiders, and former players all rushing to weigh in on what could be one of the most influential roster moves of the decade. For Dallas, the decision feels like a gamble that may haunt them for years, while for San Francisco, it seems like the missing puzzle piece that could finally push them over the hump in their Super Bowl quest. This is not just another trade. This is a franchise-altering decision that will be analyzed, debated, and rehashed endlessly, and the ripple effects might be felt well beyond just these two organizations. The 49ers, known for their defensive pedigree and ferocious pass rush, now add perhaps the most dynamic defensive force in football, and the Cowboys, in return, get assets that are still shrouded in mystery, but must be significant. The shock factor cannot be overstated because Parsons represented more than just a player in Dallas. He was a symbol of hope and dominance, the kind of generational talent that fans rally around and believe in during both the highs and the lows of season. His relentless pursuit of quarterbacks, his sideline-to-sideline speed, and his uncanny ability to disrupt offenses from multiple positions made him one of the most feared defenders in the game. For Dallas to part ways with him, there had to be deep layers behind the scenes, perhaps contract negotiations that soured, maybe disagreements about long-term visions, or even personal frustrations that bubbled beneath the surface. Yet, none of that changes the shockwaves this creates today. For San Francisco, the arrival of Parsons feels like destiny calling. Imagine a defensive front where Nick Bosa and MICAH Parsons line up side by side, feeding off each other's energy, forcing offensive coordinators into sleepless nights just trying to scheme a way to keep their quarterbacks upright. It feels almost unfair, a dream scenario for the Niners and a nightmare for the rest of the league. But when we peel back the excitement and consider the emotional core of this trade, the human side, it becomes even more fascinating. Parsons was adored in Dallas, embraced as one of their own, and hailed as the future face of the franchise. Cowboys Nation celebrated him not only for his talent, but also for his swagger, his confidence, and the way he represented the star on his helmet with pride. Letting him go means Dallas has to sell their fan base on the promise of what comes next, whether that's multiple first-round picks, a combination of emerging stars, or cap flexibility that could reshape their roster in unexpected ways. Fans don't often buy into logic when it comes to losing their heroes, though, and right now social media is filled with heartbreak, disbelief, and a tidal wave of anger aimed at the Cowboys front office. For San Francisco fans, the emotions are the complete opposite: jubilation, awe, and sheer anticipation of watching a defense that might redefine what dominance looks like in today's NFL. What makes this even juicier is the timing. The season is already in motion, the playoff race is looming, and suddenly one of the league's most impactful players is changing uniforms. This isn't a slow off-season rumor that teams can absorb over months. This is a midstream earthquake that could tilt the balance of power overnight. Rival teams are already scrambling to react. Media outlets are revising their playoff predictions, and insiders are whispering that this trade will trigger a domino effect across the league. Quarterbacks in the NFC, particularly those in the West, might be rethinking their plans for survival as they now face the terrifying prospect of dealing with Parsons on top of an already suffocating 49ers pass rush. Coaches talk about culture shifts, about momentum swings, and about sparks that ignite a team's belief in their destiny. And make no mistake, this trade is exactly that for San Francisco. The vibe inside their locker room has to be electric, buzzing with the confidence that something historic might be unfolding right before their eyes. And then, of course, comes the inevitable debate. Who won the trade? Was it San Francisco, who just acquired the kind of defensive menace that can tilt entire games by himself? Or was it Dallas, who may have secured the draft capital or roster depth to rebuild in ways that aren't immediately visible, but could pay off massively down the road? Right now, public perception is overwhelmingly in favor of the 49ers. People are envisioning Parsons chasing down Patrick Mahomes in February, stripping Jalen Hurts in a division rivalry clash, or terrorizing opposing offensive lines with Bosa. The optics are undeniable, and San Francisco seems like the instant winner. But the league is unpredictable, and sometimes the team that looks foolish in the short term ends up playing the long game perfectly. The Cowboys might know something the rest of us don't, and if they use this move to secure a generational quarterback or a collection of elite young talent, history might remember them very differently. For now, though, the storyline is owned by the 49ers and the unstoppable monster they are building. Still, as big as the headlines are today, one cannot help but think about how this story will be remembered years from now. Trades like this live on in folklore, replayed in documentaries, highlighted in Hall of Fame speeches, and discussed endlessly in barbershops and sports talk shows. If Parsons leads the 49ers to glory, this trade will be viewed as the bold stroke that defined an era. If Dallas collapses without him, it will be remembered as one of the great blunders of their history. If somehow the Cowboys flourish and Parsons struggles, the narrative flips entirely. That's the beauty of this league. Every decision carries risk. Every gamble can either immortalize or destroy reputations. For now, the only certainty is that Micah Parsons in red and gold is the kind of image that shakes the NFL to its core, and fans everywhere are bracing themselves for what comes next. This is more than a trade. This is history in the making, unfolding before our eyes, and the league will never look the same. The whispers around league executives suggest that this move might not have happened overnight. Sources are hinting that negotiations between the Cowboys and the 49ers have been going on quietly for weeks, maybe even months, under a cloak of secrecy. There are cryptic signs, like the way San Francisco had been carefully clearing cap space, and the way Dallas seemed oddly reluctant to confirm long-term extension talks with Parsons. Some analysts claim Dallas was concerned about the financial strain of paying both their star quarterback and Parsons on massive contracts, while others insist there may have been philosophical clashes about how Parsons wanted to be utilized on the field. Regardless of the reasoning, the fact that this blockbuster remained hidden until its confirmation speaks volumes about the strategic maneuvering from both front offices. When you think about it, this feels almost like a chess game played in silence, with each move carefully calculated, and once the final piece was put into place, the announcement landed like thunder. Fans love the spectacle, but insiders are quietly marveling at just how disciplined both franchises were in keeping one of the biggest trades in years completely under wraps. The fan reaction is where the emotional intensity really comes alive. Cowboys fans are flooding message boards, podcasts, and call-in shows with raw emotion, many of them in disbelief that the team would willingly part with their brightest defensive star. It almost feels like a betrayal, a slap in the face to a fan base that has endured decades of playoff frustration and clung to players like Parsons as beacons of hope. In San Francisco, the story could not be more different. Fans are celebrating like they just won the lottery, already envisioning jerseys with Parsons' number flying off shelves and highlight reels of him wreaking havoc in Levi's Stadium under the California sun. The contrast between heartbreak and jubilation couldn't be starker. It's the very essence of what makes the NFL such a theater of drama. These are not just roster moves. They're emotional roller coasters that connect deeply with communities, families, and traditions. Every fan knows the sting of loss and the thrill of gain, and this trade encapsulates both extremes in a way that is both brutal and beautiful at the same time. Of course, the football side of this story is equally fascinating. The 49ers defense was already among the best in the league, powered by Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and an aggressive scheme that thrives on chaos. Adding Parsons to that mix is like dropping gasoline onto a fire. It creates the potential for something almost unstoppable. Imagine third downs where the opposing offensive line doesn't know whether to double-team Boza, chip Parsons with a running back, or pray the quarterback can get the ball out in under 2 seconds. The tactical advantage this gives defensive coordinator Steve Wilks is extraordinary. He now has the freedom to move Parsons all over the field, lining him up as a linebacker, edge rusher, or even as a roaming disruptor who can confuse protections and bait quarterbacks into mistakes. In a league defined by explosive offenses and precision passing, the best counterpunch is relentless pressure, and the 49ers now boast perhaps the most devastating 1-2 punch in recent memory. It feels almost unfair, like the rules just shifted and suddenly San Francisco holds the cheat code to defensive dominance. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. For the Cowboys, the path forward is cloudy, but not without hope. Rumors suggest they received a package heavy with draft picks, potentially including multiple first-rounders, which could reshape their roster over the next few seasons. There is speculation that Dallas has its eyes on a future quarterback prospect, someone they believe can finally end the decades-long wait for another Lombardi trophy. Or perhaps the focus is on building a younger, cheaper, deeper roster that doesn't rely so heavily on one superstar. Still, this strategy carries enormous risk. The Cowboys are not just any franchise. They are America's team, a brand synonymous with pressure, spotlight, and the demand for instant results. Fans may not have the patience for a long rebuild or the promise of future talent. In trading Parsons, Dallas essentially bet on its ability to draft perfectly and develop flawlessly, something easier said than done. Until those picks turn into tangible stars, the narrative will remain one of loss, frustration, and anger directed at the Jones family, who now shoulder the weight of this bold and controversial decision. But trades like this are never just about X's and O's. They ripple into locker rooms, into the chemistry of teams, and into the psyche of players. In Dallas, younger defenders may feel pressure to step up, but they also may quietly question the commitment of management to winning now. In San Francisco, Parsons' arrival could elevate the energy of every player, creating a surge of confidence that drives them into uncharted levels of intensity. Football is as much about belief as it is about talent. And when a superstar like Parsons walks into a room, everyone around him feels taller, faster, and more capable. That kind of intangible boost cannot be measured on a stat sheet, but often becomes the difference between good teams and great champions. The locker room reaction is already being whispered about. Niners players are said to be ecstatic, already welcoming him with open arms, while Cowboys veterans are reportedly stunned, struggling to process how the heart of their defense was shipped away. That contrast of morale might become one of the most overlooked but impactful outcomes of this entire situation. As the dust settles, one thing is abundantly clear. This is not a story that will fade away quickly. Every snap Parsons plays for San Francisco will be scrutinized. Every win they secure will be tied back to this trade, and every stumble Dallas endures will be magnified under the lens of what if Parsons were still here. Sports thrive on narrative, on the blending of talent, rivalry, and history, and this trade gives the NFL one of its richest storylines in years. Years from now, people will look back on this day as a turning point, whether for glory or regret. For now, though, all that exists is the buzz, the speculation, the excitement, the fury, and the anticipation of seeing Micah Parsons in red and gold. The cameras will zoom in on him in his first game. Fans will hold their breath as he bursts off the line, and somewhere deep inside, even Cowboys fans who feel betrayed will watch, knowing they are witnessing history. This isn't just football, it's drama, theater, and legacy rolled into one unforgettable moment that the league will be talking about for a very long time. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.